I'm just your average parent trying to do right by my kids. Never thought I'd have to, deal with something like this. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. The kids' toys were scattered everywhere. Then there was a knock at the door. My heart sank when I saw who it was.
Hello, I'm from Child Protective Services. We've received a report and need to inspect your home.
I didn't know what to do. They wanted to come in, look around, talk to my kids. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was doing something wrong even though I knew I wasn't. But then, I remembered something I'd read online about knowing your rights. I took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, but unless you have a warrant, I can't let you in." The CPS worker looked surprised. They weren't used to parents knowing their rights. It wasn't easy, but I stood my ground. I protected my family's privacy that day. Remember, when CPS knocks, know your rights. It can make all the
They are taking our kids every day. A child come in, no one has a thing to say. For those who have been isolated, don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have got to do a damn thing without a warrant. You know it's way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, goddammit. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. It's pictures held up by the entire. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unfairly. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows, and the only games you play are old Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher war. We cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All on the way to office. Yes, we plan on doing this. Stop.
What's up, Tiff?
You missed the beat. Nothing. What's going on
Was I
with you?
off? Was I off? Oh, I just had to go exercise my rights outside for a minute. Are we good now? Yeah, had to go invoke my constitutional rights to the police outside my house.
That's exciting.
But hey, yeah, it is. So what's going on with you? We got some good guests.
Yep.
Some guests that are.
So they're actually.
They really got some stuff.
Yes, they do. And before we bring them on, they're at my house right now. I'm sitting at my dining room table. They're sitting on my couch. But these girls, and I call them girls because they're young enough to be my children. These girls are the true heroes. Okay. They are doing, without watching my videos now, that I've told people to go to these town hall meetings and start putting these people on blast. They didn't know me, but they did it. And to me, they're the real heroes. And if you want to bring them in, I'm going to go unmute their mic. They're good. Bring them in.
Yeah, music again. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Obviously, the police outside of my house are doing something.
Yes. Yeah, they're monitoring us.
All right, there we go. So, as you were saying, they're young enough to be your daughters.
Yes. And they are the true heroes because before they found me or before somebody sent them her video, I told people to show up at these town hall meetings and start putting CPS and the judges and the lawyers on blast. Nobody did it until now. And they are the true heroes. These girls that you're about to meet now. There's other ones. We'll have to get them all on different times because not everybody's schedule can coordinate. But go ahead and bring them on.
All right, here we go. There it is. Oh, wait a minute. We got a feedback. All right, cool. Ladies, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Claire Todd. My name's Ayana.
All right, we're going to have a feedback thing here. Tiff, just, you know what you guys can do to do this, to avoid this. It's my fault that we didn't get this technical thing worked out because I had to go deal with that. But if you guys mute, like you mute while they're talking and then vice versa.
I'm on mute. But you can hear me because they're on my phone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, how about we just put all of you on the same phone? Can we do that?
Yeah, hold on. Oh, my God. Hold on, girl.
We're good.
This is my fault, guys. Sorry about this, but wait till you hear these stories. This is well worth the wait. Because what they're doing to these girls is the same thing that they've probably done to you. If you guys have cases out there, they've done this to you. And the story is going to be the same. And it's about time that you hear these people tell their stories. And this is pretty impressive that they're young like this and they knew what to do. It's very exciting.
Here, let me get this one.
Very exciting.
Hold on. We're trying to get set up here.
No, you're doing good. You're doing real good.
All right.
All right. So you know what we'll do here. We're gonna do this here.
There you go. Okay, you're good.
All right. All right. So Tiff, you can question if you can't get in the picture with them. You can question them from off the side. We can hear you. If you want to do that way too.
Well, first let Claire start with her story, and then we're going to go to the next one, and then we can ask questions, or our audience can ask some questions.
Or if you can get further away from them, that would work too.
All right, Darren.
All right, ladies. Stage is yours.
All right. So CPS and DSS came into my life December 5th of 2023. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound great.
Okay. So they came into my life in December 2023. The first day that they came, they asked to do a search of the room. They didn't have a warrant. They didn't have any, they just had a hearsay call that they had gotten. And I told them, of course, yes, because I had nothing to hide in the room. They came, they took pictures of everything. They looked around, they went through cabinets, and they didn't find anything. So basically, my kid's dad made a report that there was black methamphetamine in my room. It wasn't black methamphetamine. They don't even make black meth. It was crystals from a crystal shop, which I had the receipt for that I had purchased. And so the DSS worker had seen all this, so she takes pictures of all this stuff. They tell me I need to go to Amherst Family Practice to submit a urine screen. They tell me what time it closes. By the time I get there, it was already closed. It was in the range of time she told me I should be there. So the next day they were supposed to come and get me, or I went for another urine screen. I did my urine screen first thing in the morning. They told me I didn't produce enough urine. So they told me to be able to leave the testing facility that I had to give a hair follicle test. And I had explained to them, I was cleaning out my birth mom's house, there was drugs in the home. She had just gotten arrested for 9 different charges. I said, also, I have a prescription for my medicine. I said, but I don't have my medication paperwork with me. I said, it's at my house that I was illegally evicted from in Bluemont. I said, so is there any way that before I give you a hair follicle and submit one, that we have my prescriptions on file or record with you guys first? Because I don't want you guys using anything against me. I said, and I know my rights in Virginia, you have to have a warrant to demand a hair follicle from me. And she was like, well, let me go talk to my supervisor. You try to drink more water and see if we can get another urine test. So I drank more water. I went and did another urine sample. They still said it wasn't enough. I offered for them. I was like, can you just mix them so that it's obviously it would be above the line for the testing? And they said, no, we can't do that, blah, blah, blah. They said, well, Savannah comes back in and she's like, my supervisor told me that if you want to leave this office today with your kid, you have to do a hair follicle test. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to. I know that I don't have to. I know that you have to have a warrant for it. She's like, if you want to continue to keep your kid with you, that's what you have to do. So I went and I gave them a hair follicle. Then they were supposed to bring me back to do another urine screen, which would have been my 3rd one that day. They never came and got me from where I was staying. And they just never showed up. I called 3 times, left voicemails at the office. Then the next day I go for a urine test. I get my own ride there because they refused to answer the phone the whole day before he was taken. So when I go in there, I go with my child. We had gotten a ride there. But the test that they stated I was positive for, all that they had checked off at the time was this part right here. And they said it was positive for methamphetamine. And all of my paperwork with CPS and DSS states that it's positive for methamphetamine as well. The test right in front of me was completely negative, the whole entire testing panel. And I've been in the nursing field since I was 16. I'm now 28. I was 27 or 20, 27, 26 when my son got taken. So I had known for a good amount of time how to read drug tests. When I asked her if I could take a picture of the test, right, to send to my TPS worker, I was like, it's completely negative. There's no way it's positive for anything. She ripped the test out from in front of me, and she was like, absolutely not. You're positive for methamphetamine. She turned around and looked at my son. She said, you better enjoy your time with your mom. She's been smoking meth again, and you're about to get taken. And she took the drug screen and went back into the office. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? She was like, I don't know. You need to find a ride here because we're closed. So 2 hours later, after I'm back in my hotel room, CPS and DSS showed up with the police. And the police officers that were there, because I was with a friend of mine who is involved with the police force, and he kind of works with the officers in our area. And he stepped out to talk to one of the officers that was there because he knew him. And he was like, why are you guys here? And the officer was like, you have no idea. He said, well, why is CPS removing her child? I know for a fact she's not on drugs, and I know for a fact she doesn't do drugs. Her mom was an addict, and she's a really good advocate for drug addicts, and she just wouldn't put her kid in that situation. So CPS and DSS, their safety plan even stated that I was that they received a call from Amherst Family Practice for a positive drug screen. it said the drug screen returned back positive for meth. Mrs. Carr was agreeable to be, Mr. Carr was agreeable to be the primary caretaker of Taven now. Taven is being safety planned out of the home. Taven's concerns, he needs a safe and sober caretaker. So all of this, like, was on, like, the paperwork. My drug screen then came back from the lab 2 days later, completely negative for every single substance. Like, every single substance. It was not positive at all. So then, after they did our hair follicles, they should have, in that time period, returned my kid. However, when they took him, they didn't even have a warrant to take my kid. They didn't have anything but a falsified urine screen that they stated was positive for meth, which Lisa Davis at Amherst Family Practice wrote a letter to me and stated, and she's the head of the testing center. A colored line in the control line region of the strip indicates that the correct amount of sample was added and that the membrane was wicking occurred. A drug inconclusive urine sample will not produce a colored line in the test line region, while a drug negative sample or one with a drug concentrator level before the cutoff line will. At no time is any collector to state that a rapid test is positive. All tests are inconclusive, not resolving fully any doubts or questions. Tests are sent to Quest Diagnostic Lab for further testing to state what they are positive for. So my son was taken off of a falsified screen initially. And then I started looking into our hair follicles, which they said my son was positive for cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana. Jesus. And in my screen, it said that I was only positive for methamphetamine, which I knew there was just absolutely no way. Like, my kid had never been around drugs in his entire life. My kid had never, like, he just hadn't, and I knew that. So I started looking into it further. So after, like, months and months and months of asking for records and pulling for records, on my son's hair follicle paper with DSS and CPS, which you can see, like, this is the Amherst Family Practice, this is their payment confirmation with DSS. This is not even his date of birth on the hair follicle, and they refused to give this to me with it not blacked out. Then they gave me the, like, one of his test results. These are his, these are mine. They didn't even send our hair follicles to Quest Diagnostics. They just FedExed them to some random person, because the person that, or when they sent my test results off for Quest Diagnostics for them to confirm that my test results were completely negative, it's checked off Quest Diagnostics. It's not even checked off Quest Diagnostics in, like, the hair follicles. Well, Quest Diagnostics then, after requesting our records, like you do a records request sheet with Quest, mail me back paperwork that states that they don't have a hair follicle on file or record for me or my child during our entire lives. I requested the dates specifically, and it says we are unable to provide you with the information you have requested because we cannot identify the laboratory reports and or your test order that you have requested based on the information you have provided, which I sent them the test results of my test. We have no results of the dates that you requested. And this has been in front of John Piper, who is the head of DSS and CPS in Winchester. This has been in front of all of the people, like, that are in charge of DSS and CPS in Winchester. Savannah Duvall was aware of this, who was my first caseworker. Lauren Fleming was my second. Brian Toffer was my third. They've all seen all these documents and paperwork. They've all dismissed them. My lawyers, Karen Holman, refused to get the paperwork. I got it through a way of helping me that I worked for, which was David Downs, who did pretty much all of Jason Ranson's work during the course of our case, because Jason Ranson wouldn't do any of the work or submit any of the evidence, but took credit for David's work while he was, you know, trying to get all this stuff, like, exposed and aired out. And so over the course of time, I've still been fighting to get paperwork and still been fighting to get records and still learning my rights on all of this, because I have to get my protective order disposed to ever have contact with my child one-on-one until he's of age of 18. There's a protective order on me in place until then. And he's 5 now, and it's been since he was 3 that he had gotten taken. So to change our entire lives for the next 15 years is insane to me, off of reports that are falsified. They're not actual reports. They're not actual tests that are done.
Right.
Whether there's somebody else's test. What is that?
Those are drug screens. They're not even tests. They're not even accurate, and they're not usable in the court of law. But they still took your kids based on those.
Yes. Yeah, it's involved with my kid's dad. My kid's dad was dating the girl that tested me. I have pictures of them together. The lawyers wouldn't even submit that in the courts.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the
Where
one
did they collect the samples?
for her son.
Where did they what?
Where were the samples collected?
What is that?
The
What did you
samples.
say?
Where did they collect the urine and
Amherst
the hair
Community
follicles?
Practice.
They did. Was it a clean, sterile room, or was it just like a regular old bathroom, or what was it?
It's the doctor's office.
Yeah, it's a doctor's office. There's like 2 testing rooms that you go into where you can, like Michaela Butcher was in one and Alejandra was in the other one. And then Lisa Davis's office is right beside of her. So you have the 2. And then you go into the bathroom with them when they do their urine sample, and they do their hair follicle in the little like thing where they can test.
Yeah, but regardless, those are just samples. Those are screens. Those aren't tests. So in the court of law, those aren't even acceptable. And they took your kids based on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're fake. They're like made up.
Right, and they're fake. Right. There's that part too, that the results are
like they're live.
This just baffles me.
It was so insane. Like I kept my job in the nursing field, and because CPS and DSS was pulling me so much during the week to go test and do these freaking meetings where like they were changing the things that they said at every meeting and all this stuff. My job at where I worked had to let me go because they were pulling me so often in the nursing field. You have to give a 30-day notice before you can take time off. And when you're involved with a CPS or DSS case and you're in the nursing field and you have to be on the floor for those 12 hours and you get your little hour lunch break, you don't have time for these meetings and you don't have time, and they can't find coverage the day of when DSS texts you out of the blue and says, hey, I need you to come in and do another test this week, even though it's your second one this week. We need you to come in and do another one. Or, hey, we have a 3-hour care plan meeting to do today with you, and we need you to go ahead and take time off work. My work wasn't, and it's not fair to my job. My job was one of the top places in Virginia to work for. It was the Village of Orchard Ridge. It's a government-run facility. They are phenomenal with their care. You have no more than 10 patients, so you're able to give those patients one-on-one time. And I wasn't able to do that with my active case because of how much mentally and emotionally they were doing to me, but also how much they were pulling me and taking time away from where my priorities needed to be to keep my life afloat. It was insane.
I mean, you were working in a nursing office. Why couldn't they have had you take a drug test there?
They even said, my administrator there at the time, my director of nursing there at the time, and my direct supervisor all said, Claire, we know for a fact that you are not on drugs. We have never suspected drug activity with you. You are one of our most phenomenal CNAs. We know for a fact this isn't true. They used to watch my child because my son's dad wouldn't even show up to pick him up at our court-ordered times of like for visitation, or like when he was supposed to have him on certain days, he wouldn't come and get him. So my administrative staff would watch my son, like take him into morning meetings and everything else because of how terrible my son's father was regarding my entire situation. It was insane.
It's nuts.
It's just part of what they do. And if you read my article, it clearly says the system is setting parents up to fail.
Yeah. And lose everything.
Right. Your turn.
Yes. Next.
All right.
Just act like you're talking to me and Darren. That's it. Just act like you're talking to me and Darren.
I'm gonna start because
Here, I'll sit in front of you if it makes you feel better.
I'm gonna laugh.
No, don't laugh. I'll be quiet. I won't make you laugh.
No. So CPS really hasn't been in my life for the past 15 years, but regarding my siblings and my mom, they've been on a little rodeo the last 15 years in their lives, and currently my siblings are both placed in foster care due to I guess I would say they were wrongfully removed. Yeah. And it's just a whole situation where it could have been avoided, and our charges were being changed throughout the process of the foster care plan and everything. At first we were charged with abuse and neglect, and then after after our foster care plan was placed and everything and legally filed, they changed our charges from abuse and neglect to violation of protection order and a contempt of court. Because in contempt of court and violation of protective order here, they can't automatically remove the child. They have to do an immediate investigation and everything. The whole point of it was that I called the police to remove my mother, who was in the home at the time, intoxicated and everything. I was arrested for assault because I was trying to get her out of my house, and she wouldn't leave. And so I had my little sister call the police, and when the police came, they ended up doing a little investigation. They came in my house. They did a little walkthrough of my house without consent and everything, and then it came to my knowledge that my mom had been buying, I think, cigarettes and little vapes for my little sister, my youngest sister. And when, instead of it being brought to my attention, nobody said anything to me, and I was arrested and my siblings were removed. And ever since, they haven't moved back in. So instead of removing the problem, they removed everybody but the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how that played out. And when they let me out later that night after they processed me, I had to come home right back to the problem.
So when they let you out, did they let you go back to the house, or did you have to go elsewhere?
No, they let me go back to the house. The girls just weren't there.
And where had they gone?
My one sister, she's actually like 5 houses down the road from me, with her best friend, and her mom's also. Then my youngest sister, she is 3 hours away in Roanoke in a group home.
Tiff, how far aren't you supposed to stay together with your siblings?
Say it again.
Aren't you supposed to stay together with your siblings?
Well, sometimes foster parents won't take on more than one child.
Well, the only reason that they placed my siblings into foster care is because my youngest sibling, she kept running away because she kept telling them that she wasn't in danger and that she wasn't being abused and that she wanted to come home. And they even told my siblings the night that they were removed that they would be home as soon as possible, within a week to 6 weeks. And I think a week after they had told them that, my guardian ad litem went to my youngest sibling and told her that she would never live with her dad ever again.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Unbelievable.
But we're the crazy ones, right? We're out here putting them on blast and we don't know what we're talking about, right? But like I told you, right? How can the story here in Virginia be the same as Maine, Alaska, California, Texas, all over the country? The stories are all the same. Just take the names off of them. They're all the same. I don't care where you're at.
No, that's it. You're absolutely right. I mean, I have the same story as they do with the drug test stuff, where they falsified the drug test screen. The drug test, same exact thing. And I'm sure everybody else out there, and it's funny, it's Quest Diagnostics. So there needs to be an investigation done on Quest Diagnostics, find out what the hell's going on with that stuff. I mean, that's a way to go there too. They're obviously getting these things out.
Well,
On any of the providers that CPS uses.
well, that's the other thing. Remember a couple of shows, I don't know, because we do shows all the time. I told people, right? And when we did our interview, I clearly said what people don't understand is that CPS is contracting with these people. So what do you think these drug screens are coming back?
Well, yes, because when I was out of town for a photo shoot, because I also model, they told me that I had to come back. I was all the way down in Alexandria. Like, I could not come back. I was shooting with different photographers and stuff, and I offered one photographer was like, we can take you to a testing center down here. We can take you to like an urgent care or any place that can do drug screening and testing right on the spot. And I told my DSS worker, I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to make it back in town. I don't even have my vehicle down here. They came and got me. I'm stuck in Arlington. And I go somewhere else to test and have them fact sheet the results. And even with the witness in the room, like, I'm fine to deal with a witness down there. And they were like, oh, absolutely not. Those tests won't hold up for court. And then told me, like, the day of my court hearing, for the day of my court hearing, they tried to make me, and I was so sick the day of my court hearing, like, I was anxiety ridden, I hadn't eaten in days, like, it took everything in me to go to court on January 16th. And when I went, they tried to make me do a urine sample. Well, I had thrown up 3 times that morning. I couldn't pee. So I offered to Judge Athey, I said, can I please do a drug, like, can I go to a facility and do a blood test? I will get it done today. And she's like, well, what good is that going to do for today? I said, I won't change anything today. But that way you can have the results for my next court date in March. So it shows that I was clean today. And she said, absolutely not. That will not be done in this courtroom. That would not be done in this courthouse, and I will not be allowed. Like, she was terrible. She ripped me a new ass.
Judge Athey will not hear a case with my name on it either.
She needs to be investigated.
She does. So,
and she had just given me,
hold on. Go ahead.
She had just given me full custody in July of my kid. Looked at my kid dad, took time away from him, and said, I know you're not in court for that kid. You have 9 other kids, and you've not fought for one of them. You are here for that girl. She said, so I'm giving you every other weekend and every other Tuesday, once every other week. And that's all the time. Then turns around in December, does all this stuff with CPS. They had court dates I wasn't even aware of. And then in January of 2024, completely removed. Like, they had removed him already in December, but, like, had put it in a court order that there was a protective order in place. Like, after she had just given me full parental custody. Like, everything. Like,
how long was that before she removed him? So she gave you full custody?
July of 2023. And they removed him in December 2023.
Oh my God. So 3 months, 4 months?
3 months then.
August, September, October, November, 5 months. But regardless, that's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Yep.
So the thing is, I told these people that we're going to have some more meetings with these delegates. I told these delegates this was going on. I told them. But you know what? They fucked around, and now they're about to find out because they didn't want to hear me, because they didn't believe me. I'm not going to say they didn't believe me. I'm going to say
they didn't know how to go about it because it's one person.
I'm too aggressive for them because I do come at them. I'm not talking at them, but they think that I'm talking at them. But we have to be aggressive because they're bullies.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of a bully, girls?
You stand up for yourself.
You fight back.
Thank you.
And you don't back up.
When you're coming with facts and evidence, like I came on here and shown everything that I've shown with facts in black and white. It's insane. Like,
how does people not listen to you or believe what you're saying or give you your kids back immediately?
John Piper literally told me not to record our conversation. He told me in a meeting, he said, if you're recording, we're ending this meeting.
I walked out. Bye. That's what I would have said.
They wanted to be able to say that they tried. However, when they kept talking about my case, I was like, use the terminology that got my kid taken. You said I was positive for methamphetamine. Don't say the word inconclusive now. Say positive. But you guys know you're not allowed to say positive because I was never positive to begin with, and you're not allowed to say positive. They don't want to say positive now. I said, no, use the terminology that got my kid taken. Because that's what we need to talk about. Why is that on my paperwork? And that's what you did. And that's what you're claiming. And that's what you said in court documents. If that's not what it was.
Boy, is she going to be a good advocate when I'm done with her.
Yeah, she's going to be a spitfire for sure. No doubt.
She's going to be my protege. They're going to be like, oh, God damn it. Here comes Tiffany Jr. right here.
I don't
care. Get her a little queen hat.
But they hate it. When I come into any meeting, they hate it. When I come into like town council, they hate it. I called John Piper out on the stand. He literally laughed at us last meeting because that's who he is as a person. When you speak to him, he's an evil person. Like, and he has kids, so I don't understand. Like, how can anybody with kids be in a situation and see our situations and be okay doing it? Because what if it was them? Like, what if it was their kids that were being taken? What if that was them being lied on? What if it was them being called meth addicts and they know for a fact, like I knew for a fact I was not doing drugs? How would they feel?
That's different.
It destroyed my whole life. It changed the whole life that I had, as well as my son's. It was the most emotionally draining and mentally like draining experience I've ever been through. And I've been through a lot in my 28 years. Like I've been raped, I've been beat, I've been all that stuff, and like that doesn't touch what this has done to me.
Yeah.
And what this has done to my kid. Like literally, it's so bad.
Yep. Every day is further day away, you know. Every day is further and further away.
Yeah.
You know. It's been how long now? A year and a half? 2 years?
Yeah, a year and a half.
He was how old when they took him?
They was 3 when they took him, and he's 5 now.
Yeah, same as my daughter.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? Like
Doesn't
I know
it say that drug use itself isn't.
Huh?
It says drug use itself is not a reason to be a bad parent, right?
What'd you say?
It said being a drug addict is not the meaning. This says the Supreme Court says that being a drug addict doesn't mean you're a bad parent, right?
What it says is drug abuse alone is not enough to remove a child from the home, because you're looking at the behavior of the parent and not the pretty much the safety of the child. That's what they say.
Right. So what's her other bad mom thing?
What?
What else did she do wrong?
Nothing.
That's my point.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna call these motherfuckers out now. Jada Carr is a fucking bitch. Okay? I'm gonna put it out there. I hope that bitch sees this, because I can't wait for the day her and I meet. Jada Carr is related to the child's father. She's a fucking CPS worker.
That's the girlfriend's the one that drug tested.
And the girlfriend of the father is the bitch that drug tests this child. And I don't mean to call y'all children, but you guys,
okay,
I'm young. I mean, y'all are so young and I'm so old. But the point is, this whole case, there's a big conflict of interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got a CPS worker that is related to the father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who I'm telling you, walked in a newborn's room in the hospital when I was on the phone with her, with the mother, helping the mother insert her rights. And that bitch jumped up and said, "I'm taking your fucking kid." Now we're talking about a baby. We're not talking about a kid. We're talking about a baby, a 5-day-old baby. And this bitch not only has an attitude that day, she encountered my son. And my son put her ass in place. He said, "Let me tell you something. This is my child." And I got the body cam footage from that too. He just won't let me release it yet. He told her straight up, "Virginia is a corporal punishment state. I will slap my kid as hard as I want on the back of his head, because if he goes out here and he does the same dumb shit when he's an adult, somebody's going to kill him." Guess what Jada Carr said? "Okay, well, I guess we're going to close your case." Yeah, because my son said, "The next interaction you have with me, I'm bringing the big guns. And she's not going to play with you." Fuck Jada Carr. Fuck CPS. Fuck these corrupt judges. And I'm tired of these lawyers that I fucking advocated for to get more money to do their fucking job. They're not doing it. But that's okay, because what does our little sign say? CPS, we're coming. We're coming.
We are coming. And it's more and more and more like this. Yep.
And that's another reason I don't go to these town halls, because I would have to eat so much CBD and swallow so much passion flowers, I'd probably be asleep on the bench.
Yeah, you'd be pulling the narcolepsy. Man. Hey, who's that? Inez is in the back room. Do you know Inez?
Yes, pull her in. She's another parent that spoke out at this meeting.
All right.
Voices.
Here comes Inez. There's Inez.
Hey guys, how are you? I'm looking a little crazy.
Oops.
How are you guys?
I'm blind.
There we go. Now we have the trifecta.
Is your camera on, Inez?
Yep, Inez is in the house with us. Yep. There we go. We can see all you now.
My Facebook.
We can't see her.
You can't hear her?
We can hear her. We can't see her.
Well, she's here. Her picture's there, for sure. I'm looking right at her. So we're good. We're good to go. Rock and roll. Inez, what do you think about all this stuff?
Oh my God. The level of corruption that I've seen just within my own experiences is outrageous. And frankly, I'm tired of it. And I made a decision last year that I was standing up. I spoke to a lady one day and she said, well, how are you doing? When I was introduced to another advocate out in New York. And I said, actually, I'm standing up and it's time to stand all the way up. And so that's where I'm at in this hour. My family's been through it, and this CPS stuff is a joke. And, more of my corruption came through the court system. And I've had interaction with CPS along the way, and they've done absolutely nothing to help anyone. I mean, it's literally just absolutely ridiculous. My son was being abused by also.
Oh no.
Sorry, I think I checked out a minute.
Yep, you're back, Joe.
Are you still
Yep,
there?
you're back.
Hear me because
Hear you.
it's like I'm frozen.
No,
We
you're
can
there.
hear you.
I think I'm frozen, guys.
Everything's fine, Inez.
You might not be able to call
So I'll have to
caller.
wait till we get somewhere where it's better.
Let her know we
Inez.
can hear and return her
Turn
phone.
off and on. Okay.
We're calling her.
I think I'm unfrozen.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Let me know if you can hear me because I can't
Yep,
hear
go ahead,
anything.
Inez. You're good to go.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Are you calling her?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm getting ready to, but I wasn't able to figure out that.
No, it won't. I get calls all the time. I just hit.
This is first-hand stuff. This is good stuff.
Hold on. They're trying to call her.
All right. So what goes on at these town hall meetings, Tiff? What are they doing when they go to these town hall meetings?
What?
Sorry, guys.
What goes on at these town hall meetings? Town hall meetings that people are going
Yeah.
to? What are they doing? What are they saying? What goes on there?
It's Michigan.
What are they saying at these town hall meetings? Well, actually, it's not them saying anything. It's them.
That's who the them I'm talking about.
I'm not allowed to reply to town hall. We've had a couple of the town hall council reach out to us. They're getting us in touch with the House of Delegates and setting up a meeting with them to go over what's going on in this area. So we'll of course have, Tiffany and Dion, Tiffany and Shanti, and a couple of the other parents speaking up on behalf of all the families for the Zoom call. And then if they want to, further that extension and talk to them one-on-one, the other families that are involved, we definitely want to be able to be an outlet for that door to open, be able to connect these families with the right people, as well as, bringing all these kids home, because that's what really needs to happen is these cases need to be reopened, these cases need to be looked into by somewhere further from, our area, because obviously everybody is involved together. Because all the names that we're putting out there, like Karen Holman, so many people have had her, Colin Hepburn, so many people have had it, Mark Van, so many people have had him, Jason Ranson, so many people have dealt with him, Judge Acey, Judge Kellis, there's so many names and judges that are involved, and there's so many stories that are identical to those people. Nancy Williams did a huge one, that there's been so many, she literally looked at me on the stand, I was crying my eyes out after I'd asked for family counseling. So me and my kid's dad could learn how to co-parent together. And she looked at me on the stand and she said, the only one that's in this courtroom that needs therapy or counseling is you, because you need to control your emotions. Because I was bawling because of the things that she was saying to me. She was just so evil. And, she was like, you need to deal with your trauma. You need to deal with your emotions. You need to deal with all this stuff. And it kind of makes you, become numb to talking about it. I can talk about my case now without, completely breaking every time I talk about it. Granted, it gives me anxiety and it makes me feel sick for days after, because there's been so much that has gone on during the course of this time. But at the same time, it's how are so many families being so negatively affected, and how are these people able to continue doing what they do to so many people? Because if anybody had physically abused or neglected these kids, it's the court system. If anybody has physically abused or neglected these kids, involved in these families and their allegations that they're saying to them. It's them doing it to our families, and it's really, really insane to understand the depths of that, and have to go through it and understand the insanity that's going on within all of it.
Well, that when you look up what CPS is supposed to, how CPS is supposed to handle certain situations and everything, it specifically states that CPS isn't allowed to make decisions based on biased information. And that's all that this whole court system is. It's just biased information, because you have all these caseworkers coming in and out of school, getting in the department, reading these cases, getting their own little idea of these families and these parents in their head. And when they haven't even met these families or these kids or the parents even. So a lot of our problem is the same people that are using this falsified information and the ones that are creating these false accusations. The whole court system needs to be investigated 100%. They're getting away with
murder. Really? They're getting away with the death penalty, the civil rights death penalty. They're getting away with stealing our children and putting our kids to death on our side of things. Because what else do you want to call it? They take our kids, we never get to see them again.
Yep.
It even says, like in our rights paperwork, to read records and give permission to release of records at any time. And I have recorded conversations with me and Savannah Duvall, my first caseworker, where I was requesting records. And she said straight out, like, and I told her I was recording. I was like, I'm recording this conversation. She was like, well, you're not getting it either way. Like, straight, like, refuse.
There we go. They don't even know their own policies, procedures, and their regulations. They know nothing.
But I mean, I wouldn't give records to somebody either if I falsified them or lied about them. I wouldn't. So I understand why they didn't. However, on the rights table, it says I have a right to sue those things. So if you're going to falsify them, you still have to give them to me.
Right.
If you're going to fake them, you still have to give them to me. If you're going to lie on the paperwork, you still have to give it to me if I request it. And they wouldn't. And so I went through all these loopholes to get all this stuff, talked to my director of nursing at my facility, got, advice on how to go about getting my medical records and all that stuff. And when I get them, Quest Diagnostics doesn't even have the test results because they were never done through Quest.
Well, it's not only them. It's LabCorp. People are talking about LabCorp. But again, you are allowed to go to somebody different to have your drug test done, because if people truly believe that the people that CPS is contracted with is going to do the right thing, they've lost their mind.
Well, I requested, after I found out my kid's dad was involved with Michaela Butcher, who was the one that falsified my test results, and I found that out for a fact and told CPS and DSS. I told them I refused to go back there for testing. I said, because I know me, and she took my kid, and I'm not going to emotionally be able to be in a place in the same room as her with everything that she's done to my kid. Mentally and emotionally, it's not something I'm going to put myself in a situation to deal with, nor am I going to put her in a situation, because if I were to react negatively, they're going to use that against me. But how do you not react negatively to somebody that's done all this damage to your family? So respectfully, knowing myself, I said I'm not putting myself back in that situation. They refused to let me test anywhere else. They told me if I was not testing at their facility, they would use it or presume it as positive. I said, well, I can go. I literally got in touch with someone in her family practice that I was friends with and said, well, I won't test in the DSS and CPS section. I'll test in the actual doctor's office with a doctor or a P, like anybody, a CNA, anybody can go in there as my witness. I'm just not doing it with Lisa Davis, Michaela Butcher, or Alejandra Amherst family practice testing things. But why wouldn't they let me do it in the doctor's office if it's still connected to the building? They're all one facility. It's just not their test.
They told me that my medical records regarding my mental health and everything, that they weren't good enough if it wasn't through their company.
That's because the psychologist is going to say, oh, she's depressed, she's bipolar, she's narcissistic, she can't mentally be stable.
And when I told them that I was seeking help through a psychiatrist and a therapist for my actual doctor, they asked me, They didn't ask me. They told me that I had to do it through theirs because it was court ordered.
Yeah.
The thing about
No.
and CPS didn't understand. I had already been to a psychologist when I first had my son because I put myself in therapy because I didn't want my son healing from any of my broken pieces like I am all of my parents, every single one of them. So I went through therapy and counseling to be able to become better. So they set me up with a doctor who helped with my ADHD, my depression, my anxiety. I was medicated for all that stuff. I literally had no paperwork. And then they tried to say that there's all these additional things wrong with me when they had never even done testing. Then when I told them, like on the stand, I told AFI that I'd gotten diagnosed with CPTSD of narcissistic abuse because of my son's father. He said, and who are you to tell him what are you a psychologist now?
Mhm.
Are you a therapist?
Darren, I done went to jail that day. I'm telling you right now, because I done asked that bitch who she thought she was.
She literally
I
looked
know
at me.
this.
I'm not taking any of your paperwork. She didn't take any of my paperwork. She said, I'm not looking at any of your documents, any of your medical records. I'm not looking at any of your stuff. This is ridiculous.
14th Amendment due process right.
Man. Inez, what's your thoughts?
Is she back?
Well, I'm going to say this. First of all, I've gone through a lot of these things, minus, the drug testing and things like that. But I find this to be a whole heap of crap. And I love that Tiffany brought up, going to some of these psychologists and stuff like that, how they, want to then come back and try to diagnose you with all of these things. But that's actually my area of expertise. So when they attempted to pull that crap on me, it didn't work because I wanted to know what instruments you used to come up with that diagnosis. And, this nurse practitioner talked down to me like, oh, and you use this for this. I said, I'm well aware of what you use. They were like, oh, you don't have a expert witness. I said, I am the expert. This is my area of expertise. So I don't know how you're discrediting that, but you're absolutely right. I work in the medical field. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for many, many years. And the crazy stuff that they do to people is outrageous. And you're right. These are screenings. They're not tests. And my husband was saying there's a facility name or whatever that you have to go to. What's it called again?
Or LabCorp.
No.
Right, but he was saying that the facility has the MRO because if not, then accurate anyway.
That's
These
true.
people are taking kids away, and they're hoping that we don't stand up. Now, I actually was granted by Judge Kellis to move to Texas. And then she's drugged me back and forth to Virginia for the last outrageous number of years. What is this doing? Yeah, I'm getting feedback. Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me disconnect from that because I don't like. All right, here we go. So, I've seen firsthand the level of corruption, the denying evidence, just like I saw Claire I read her papers myself. I'm like, how do you keep someone's child when she has the proof that what you're saying is a lie? And I don't believe that the system is just broken. I think that the system needs to be completely revamped. Because what you're doing to families and traumatizing our children, kidnapping our children is absolutely unacceptable. And I have to wonder, these people are supposed to work for us.
That part.
But they work for their own monetary gain, lining their pockets and other people's too.
That's it. Every kid has a dollar amount on it.
And I got Inez actually an advocate out of Texas. I hope she's been in touch with you. If not, let me know. But yeah. She what? She's breaking. Good.
Okay, it says my connection is crazy. I'm gonna be quiet for a moment.
That's fine. So I did get her an advocate out of Texas. My little secret weapon. You know her, so just don't say her name. She's been on our show.
Yes, she
I'll
is.
give you a hint. She was going to another state to help a mother get a child.
No, I know.
So I think the best thing that happened, I'm going to turn this for a minute. The best thing that happened, and I just want to thank whoever, if you're watching or if you come across this video, whomever sent me the video of Claire, because that's all the clip I got. You did the right thing and you got her in touch with the right people, because in May, the end of May, beginning of June, I'm going to be working here in Virginia with Poverty Law School, and we are going to change this system. We are.
Amen.
So, like I told them in 2021, when 12 of them fuckers were on my property with that bitch, I'm coming for you. So take a good look in my face, because if those of you who don't know me, you will know me.
Someone lit the wick. Someone lit the wick, and that's it.
You may lit the fire.
I'm loving that the fire is lit, because you know what I'm really loving is that you're not just doing this for, you know, people, Tiffany. You're teaching us how to fight ourselves. You're literally activating an army of women and families and men who've gone through this. You're literally activating folks to stand up and advocate. And, you know, I just see that you're building a mighty army, and I'm grateful to be a part of that.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
You're a blessing. That's why I had to bring her in the group chat. I was like, this is what we need. Blessing.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm very humbled by that. But I think that once my rights were terminated and they said I wasn't good enough for one of my children, but I was good enough to raise my other 3 children, I knew right then and there that this was what I was going to have to do. I'd have to work, because trust me when I tell you, you will be a broke bitch doing this shit.
Dealing with CPS and DSS, they take everything from you, bro.
Not even just financially, just mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
They genuinely
drain you.
It consumes your soul. It's like playing a deal with the devil.
Okay, so we've talked about this. Now, I've had this talk with Darren, and I say this during the holidays. Stop letting them win.
Yeah.
Because right now, they're winning. They're keeping you oppressed. Fuck that. You hold your head up high, and you tell them, today's the day that I'm not taking your bullshit anymore. And trust me when I tell you, I have an army, and we're all coming for you.
Yes. And it doesn't matter that I'm in Texas, because I'm coming to Virginia to make sure I stand with
we
you
look
ladies.
forward to seeing you.
I told Savannah Devil one time, I said, in Isaiah 54:17, it says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And ugly is the devil, and God will override that every time. You think you got away with it for so long, but eventually it catches up to you. And that karma is different.
But they also say that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
That's right. So,
and that's what CPS does. So fighting the devil.
So Darren, I know I told you this story. So when my daughter's case was going on, my husband and I went on a mobile tent job, because it was a racing car, couldn't be on the street. So it was 100 degrees, and if y'all think I'm cranky, I was 10 times worse. It's hot, the baby's crying, the tent's not working. I want to go home. So finally, the husband comes out and was like, hey, my wife is on her way home, but you got to go up this hill, but then the hill kind of like pops up on you, right? So they can't see above the hill. So he's like, hey, just watch the baby, because I don't want her to hit him. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I'm sitting in the garage, right? And I'm telling my husband, I'm like, you know, I'm irritable. He knows I'm irritable. I'm hungry. We've been here 6 hours for a 2-hour job. Here comes this white truck, right? It pulls up. This woman gets out of her car and almost drops dead of a heart attack. It's the fucking CPS worker that just left my daughter's house. Okay? Clarissa All she could do was, this is exactly what she did. I didn't know you guys own the window tint business. Here I go. Oh, there's a lot about us you don't know, right? So now I'm like, hurry up. Mitch was like, oh, no. We're going to let that shit burn, right? Because I went and called my lawyer. Now, I told this woman earlier that I was out on a mobile tent job. I said, you are not going to fucking believe this shit. She's like, what? I said, I'm sitting at Clarissa's house. She said, I told you what I'm doing. I didn't know it was her house. She said, sit your ass in your fucking car, Timothy, and don't open your mouth. Then she called my daughter. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. What are you doing? She said, Clarissa just left here. I said, well, while we're on that subject, when you see this bitch, she can afford it. I'm sitting in her motherfucking driveway. My daughter said, you're lying. I said, oh, honey, I'm not lying. This bitch is scared to come back outside.
That's awesome.
God doesn't like ugly, right? So what God did was put me at that bitch's house in her garage to let her know that bitch knows where you live.
Yeah, he wants some serious plans.
And he aligns people.
Yeah. She no longer works for CPS.
I love that.
It's awesome. Awesome. That is good stuff. So, where do we go from here? What's your guys' next move?
Like, our next move is just to keep speaking out and trying to gain the right attention.
Speak to the House of Delegate, do a Zoom call with them. It'll be after Apple Blossom because their schedules are really busy with Apple Blossom coming up. So we have that. And then right after Apple Blossom, they're scheduling a Zoom call meeting with all of us. And
they're going to help promote our little May 18th thing. They're going to help get the people there.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent. That's going to be good.
So we're only going to talk about rights that day because I'm inviting CPS and I'm inviting the prosecutors and I'm inviting the police department because I want these people to know this is not a game. And now that they know their rights, you won't keep getting away with the shit you've been doing.
That's it. May 18th, it begins. So,
May 18th. Sunday. It's at 1 o'clock. Yeah, T-Bones. We'll talk about it in a minute. So, can you get the flyer working for that?
Yep, I will.
We'll post it on Facebook and I'll send it to them and they can send it to their friends. But I got to go down there because like I said, right, I should have had a VA yesterday, right? When I was like, oh my God, I can't read. And you're like, well, you can cast. And I said, oh my God, I don't know why I didn't think about that. Because I just talked to her about that.
You're nuts.
I know.
You're nuts.
So that's what I'm going to do. Either tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to go down there and see if she's got a Wi-Fi TV. Even if I got to take my little internet box, because I have the T-Mobile box, I can carry that bitch anywhere.
That's right. You're internet everywhere. Internet everywhere, Tiff. Internet everywhere. All right. Well, we're at our time. So let's
and they'll be back on again.
Yes, they will.
Say bye, ladies.
Tiff's new proteges. All right, ladies. Thank you very much. Tomorrow night, field trip night.
No, tomorrow on the field trip.
Yeah, field trip tomorrow night. That's what I said.
8 o'clock.
All right. See you guys then.
Bye.
No more silence. gotta go. Fight the good fight, let everybody know. We'll raise our fist and say aloud, no more silence, join the crowd. Abolish CPS, their rally cry. No kids for cash, we won't comply.